Conquer Emotional Eating Radio with Dr. Laura Hall, author, clinical psychologist, and expert on emotional eating. I'm glad you could join us today as we start a new series on journaling. Today is day 1 in our series, and we're going to learn about the benefits of keeping an eating journal. Dr. Laura, it's good to see you.
And it's great to see you, Jay.
Okay, so you say keeping an eating journal is an essential step designed to help people gain freedom from emotional eating. And you outline those benefits of keeping an eating journal. Would you tell us about those benefits?
First of all, by keeping an eating journal, we actually save time in the long run.
Really? Can you explain that? Because some of our listeners may be thinking, oh, I don't have time to keep an eating journal. My day is already too busy. But you say, not so.
That is exactly correct. You see, the information we get from our eating journal will eliminate mounds of guesswork, and we will see that the structured format and design of our eating journal will help us to pinpoint our problem areas quickly and accurately.
And I'd like to take a moment to let our listeners know that this resource, the eating journal, can be found on our website at conqueremotionaleating.com. It's located in our resources section and it's free. Just click print and you're on your way.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? I encourage everyone to take advantage of the resources that we have for you on the website.
Great. So first, the eating journal is a time saver. Second, you say it's a resource of information. How so?
Before we can be free from emotional eating and dieting, we need to have a solid understanding of what needs to change. Now, we have designed the eating journal in such a way that bad patterns and problem areas will be revealed within a single week. Problem areas previously hidden from us will be exposed. And these are things in our lives related to food that need to expose. And this is a good thing, because until we expose and admit what needs to change within us, we will just remain stuck. And the eating journal helps us to do just that, reveal that junk in us that we need to get rid of. And I have yet to meet someone who doesn't have junk that they want and need to get rid of.
So, what are some of the problem areas that are typically exposed?
Well, we may turn to food when we are stressed, sad, bored, lonely, or worried. We turn to food for all different emotional reasons, and quite often this has become such a part of us, our way of trying to cope with certain emotions, that we do it automatically without even thinking. And perhaps some of us put ourselves down because of our failure to lose weight in the past, and we may not even realize that we do this to ourselves on a constant daily basis. Or perhaps we want to lose weight for all the wrong reasons. Now, this is a topic we will be examining in much greater detail in future shows. But before we can fix something, we need to know what needs to be fixed, and that is the purpose of our eating journal.
That's a great point. Are you saying that everyone, all of our listening audience, should be keeping an eating journal?
Absolutely, and especially in the beginning. You can think of this as part of an emotional eating checkup. You have to reveal your problem areas before they can be healed.
So, we talked about the eating journal being a time saver, a source of information, and third, you say it's a problem predictor. Can you explain to our audience what you mean by a problem predictor?
To predict, anticipate our high-risk situations, so then we won't be caught by surprise.
Can you give our listeners an example?
Well, let's say, for example, after keeping the eating journal, you've realized that you tend to overeat when your mind starts to wander towards the finances and paying the bills, something that is very common, especially in today's current economic state of the world. Well, later on in future shows, what we'll do is talk about just that. If we have worry and stress in our lives related to finances, how should we deal with this worry and stress instead of turning to food? Because a lot of people turn to food in attempts to reduce worry and stress, but it just doesn't work. So what does work? And that is what we will learn later on, because this is not just about saying, okay, well, stop eating when you worry. This is about saying, okay, you have this worry in your heart. Let's figure out what is going to take away that worry from your heart. Because we may have a tendency to turn to food to fix our problems, but you know what? Food is not the answer to our problems, and we need to focus on what is the answer to our problems.
So the eating journal helps us in the beginning of this process because it'll help us to predict and see those problem situations coming, right?
The more we do this, the better equipped we will become to see our problem areas coming, so we can take extra precautions to focus on what we need to focus on, rather than having our focus on the wrong thing and as a result get blindsided.
The last function of the eating journal is that it will later serve as a reminder of what works. Could you elaborate on that?
When we can go back and physically look at the specific times in our lives when we handled things like emotional eating in the right way and we see positive results, it serves as a great uplifter when we are going through the struggles and the valleys.
Wonderful. Well, I think by now our listeners see the benefits of keeping an eating journal. And we're going to continue this discussion next week.
Eating Journal 101, because now we know that it is important to keep an eating journal. The next step is to figure out the essential components of the eating journal. What are the questions that we need to ask of ourselves and answer in order to reveal the junk in our lives that just needs to go? Because sometimes we know that there is something within us that needs to change, but we can't quite put our finger on it. Well, that is exactly what we are going to learn how to do next week when we meet. That is what we are going to learn how to do.
Outstanding. It's been a pleasure spending this time with you today, Dr. Laura, and our listeners can actually get a head start on what's to come next week because we have posted a copy of the Eating Journal on our website. So we encourage our listeners to go to our website, conqueremotionaleating.com. Click on the resources section at the top and find a copy of the Eating Journal. Here you can make copies of it free for your own personal use. Remember, you can always listen to this and all of our previous shows on conqueremotionaleating.com, where you'll also find additional resources to deepen your walk. And be sure to come back next week as we continue this series on journaling, as Dr. Laura tells us all we need to examine in our eating journal. Next time on Conquer Emotional Eating Radio.